Hey, and welcome to the 8th part of my vlog while I am here in Berlin. So last week I accidentally started the video saying that was part 8, but I was wrong and I think I corrected myself. So this is actually the end of week 8, and as you can see I am doing an indoor vlog because I've been out so much today and I can't find anywhere interesting outside at the moment to record. I'm also in a different room, which I will come on to explain shortly because that plays a lot into what's happened this week. But yeah, let's get into the video. So this week has been interesting and a bit stressful, so a few of you know this, but most of you don't. So we hit a little road bump earlier this week. Basically, I was talking and stuff back at Johannes Maria's around the dinner table about how I'm here for like one more month, and something clearly clicked in Johannes's head thinking, that's not right. So Johannes came up into my room and said, we have a problem, we're a bit confused. And so I was like, okay, thinking I was in trouble, that I'd done something, but no, it turns out that basically, in my original email to Johannes and Maria, I had said that I was here from whatever it was, mid-June, to the 17th of August, when I was supposed to write 17th of September. So obviously they heard me saying that I was here for another month and thought, no you're not, you're here for like 3 more days. And so yeah, basically my room at Johannes and Maria's was not available past the 17th of August, which bit stressful and a bit worrying. So yeah, basically we had to find somewhere for me to live because this was like Sunday night, Monday that they were telling me this, and they had someone using the room or something going on with the room so I couldn't be in it from the 17th onwards, which was the Thursday. So 17th was the Friday, but I had to move out on the Thursday. So we really didn't have long, and I was beginning to think, oh crap, because this is Berlin, this is a city. Nobody has these massive houses with spare rooms because that's just not how it works in a city. You buy what you need and you don't pay for more because it's so expensive. So people have a 1 or a 2 bed flat and they are using all of that space because it's a city. So it was a bit stressful trying to find somewhere. So I then was speaking to Johannes about it and being like, well, what can we do? And he said, I need to make some calls, I need to do some stuff. So I was like, okay. So I then had to get on with my week. Monday I turned up at work and I got there and there was Huing and there was Philip, and I assumed Philip had been there on the early shift because I knew that I was working with Huing for the rest of the day. And then all of a sudden it turns out that all 3 of us had been rotated to do that day, and Michael kind of pulled us all aside and said, well, we don't need 3 people in the evening, we only need 2, and basically one of you needs to go home because we can't afford to pay all 3 of you. So I kind of was speaking to them and they both kind of really wanted to work, and I mean, as much as the money would have been nice, I wasn't really in a desperate need for that extra shift because I'm working a fair amount anyway. So I was just like, okay, I'll go home. So I literally worked an hour and then I went home and I did some German and I rested and I stressed about not having anywhere to live. So that evening I asked Johannes and I'm like, is there an update? And he was just like, no, I need to make some calls. And I was like, okay. So that was Monday down. Tuesday, I had to go to the office to do some work for Christopher. Christopher was away this week on holiday, so I was just in the office just doing some standard spreadsheet stuff, inputting some of the data that we'd got on this Sunday and updating a list, and finding and creating an electronic consent form that we could send to people who aren't currently at Berlin and can't come on Sunday and sign, but still want to give consent to remain on the mailing list. So I had to work that out, and that was the kind of things that I did on Tuesday, but my work was running a little bit low, so I did a normal day, but it wasn't as long as normal. And then I came home and rested and stressed some more about finding somewhere to live. Spoke to Johannes again in the evening, and nope, nothing yet. Still needed to make some calls, and I'm beginning to think, oh, okay, well this is Tuesday. I have Tuesday night in my bed, and I have Wednesday night in my bed, and then I don't know where I'm sleeping because I need to move out on Thursday. So I was like, oh my gosh, Wednesday rolled around. And I was like, okay, it's Wednesday now. And I went and I worked at the cafe, and this time I did actually work because they hadn't booked us all in extra. So I was working with Huing and it was good, everything was fine. I mean, I'm not going to continually give loads and loads of details on the cafe shifts because it's the same most days. We get in, we do the work, we follow the list to make sure everything's closed up, and then we leave. And everything was fine. I like the shifts though because Huing only speaks a little bit of English and speaks good German, and I obviously speak a bit of German and English, so I help her a bit with English and she helps me a bit with German, and we learn and we seem to get through quite a lot, and we get on well, which is really nice. It's nice to have a co-worker that I actually get on with and can enjoy the shifts with, so that's good. So that was fun, and everything was fine. Came home and was talking to Johannes in that evening, and was just like, have we got an update, because this is Wednesday and I need to move out tomorrow. And he was just like, I need to call someone tomorrow morning. Just don't worry about it. You won't be sleeping on the streets. Kind of giving me a creepy, jokey smile, and I was like, oh, that's great. I have one night left in my bed, and then I don't know where I'm sleeping or staying for the next 4 weeks while I'm in Berlin. So I was like, this is a bit worrying. So I packed all of my stuff into my suitcase, because I was prepared to move out the next day, and then my zip on my suitcase ripped. I mean, I needed a new suitcase anyway, because when I arrived here, the wheel was absolutely destroyed, which I think I've mentioned in a previous vlog. And yeah, there was no way I was carrying that across the city, because I have a lot of stuff. I brought a lot with me because, as I mentioned before, I'm here for 3 months. It's a city. I didn't really know what the weather was going to be like. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing every day, so I needed to pack for a lot of things. And also, I'm a bit of a techie, so I brought like my laptop, my phone, and all of that stuff, and a lot of tech stuff with me, which is heavy and bulky. So yeah, I had a lot, and I've gotten more stuff since coming here, because you just end up picking things up and buying things when you live in a place. You forget that you have to actually put it in a suitcase. So that rolled around to Thursday, when I went to the office. But I also, on Thursday, which is probably the most interesting thing that happened on Thursday, had to go to Alexanderplatz to try and buy a new suitcase, because the wheel was busted on my old one and it wasn't big enough. So I was in the shop looking at all these suitcases, and I remember that I'd been having discussions with my parents about getting a new suitcase, and they were going to help me with it because it's something that we can use together as a family, etc, etc. And so I was just texting them, just being like, oh, I need to get a suitcase in the next few weeks before I come home. Well, what kind of price can do you think is a good area to look at? What kind of size, etc, etc. Basically, I hadn't told my parents about the whole situation because I didn't want them to stress and I didn't want them to worry. So I was just not planning on telling them about the whole not having a house thing until I'd found a house and I wasn't homeless, because I didn't want them to worry. So I was trying to text subtly and get like answers, because I needed to buy a suitcase on that day, and my mum was just like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. Dad will reply when he replies, it's fine, you got loads of time anyway. And I was thinking, yeah, I don't have loads of time because I need to buy this now. So I ended up just having to bite the bullet, pick a suitcase which looked good and was a reasonable price, and get it. And it has served me well, and it's very good. So I got that back on Thursday. I packed all of my bags, and as I was kind of just like sat in my room about 5 o'clock on Thursday evening thinking, I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight, I got a phone call from Johannes, and he basically said that a guy called Khalil from the church, who runs this place, can put me up for 12 days. He's got a spare room, so the guy whose room I'm in currently is away at the moment. I'm assuming he definitely is away. He might be on holiday or abroad, or I don't know, working somewhere. But he's away for 12 days, so I've got his room, and this is kind of like it's almost like a university halls, but it's not necessarily full of students. Some people work here, some people study, and it's called House Nazareth. I think it's run by a church, and there's like different layers used, different floors used for different things. But yeah, so I have a room here, and I'm really grateful, and it's really nice, and the rent is about what I was paying at Johannes Maria's, so I'm so grateful for that. So that's great. So I then told my parents that I had this place afterwards and filled them in on the very stressful story, but they didn't get stressed because they didn't know about it until it was all resolved. So that's good. And then also speaking today with people, I found a place that I can stay after these 12 days are up for my remaining 3 weeks. So I am sorted, house-wise, not going to be homeless. That's not an experience I was planning on doing while I was in Berlin, and I'm not going to have to experience it, so that's good. So that was Thursday. And then what else have I done this week? I had Friday and I had work. This week on Friday I wasn't working early, because I've now been moved from the early shift to the late shift, which is good and bad. It's good because I don't feel guilty for going to bed later on Thursdays, and I don't feel sleep deprived when I wake up at 6 the next day. But the issue is that I then start work at 12 and I finish at 7 on Fridays, which means that I don't get Friday afternoons off, which I used to love. So I now finish work on Fridays at 7 and I'm home by about 8, and then by the time I've done jobs and gone to sleep, I don't really get a Friday afternoon anymore. I still get a Saturday, but I don't get a Friday afternoon. So that was okay in a little bit, but a little bit sad because I liked my Friday afternoons off, and I quite enjoyed the one day a week early shift. And then this brings us around to yesterday, which was Saturday, in which I did very little. I got up fairly late, I did a little bit of work, I did a little bit of German study, I did the slide making for church, which is now kind of having to be a Saturday job because I didn't really have time to do it on Friday night because I got distracted with other things. So yeah, now that was about it yesterday. I can't give any more details really than that because it's boring, you don't want to hear about it. It was literally just me sat here relaxing because I was tired. Then that brings around today, which was church. Today, got to church to help set up in the morning. Was help chasing people down to get the forms signed for GDPR, which is coming on good. We're now 2 weeks into our 4-week period of getting signatures before we delete data, which is good. So I need to send a reminder email this week, but that was all fine. Had a really good service again, preached by Jonathan, and the worship bit this morning was really good, and there was a really good kind of response session with all of that. The preach this morning was about how we're made from dust, and God kind of really got his hands dirty when making us. And it's talking about how, as we are part of the body, like everything that we do is important to God. Everything is important to like his work, whether you are standing at the front preaching, or whether you are serving at the back making coffee, or whether you're laying chairs out in the morning. Any way that you're serving is important to God. There are not like certain areas that are more important and looked at better in God's eyes. So yeah, it was a good preach, really powerful, and it was really nice. And then this afternoon I have ridden the U-Bahn for about 3 hours because I had to go from church to Johannes and Maria's, which is like an hour, and then pick up my guitar, and then Johannes and Maria's to here, which is like an hour and 15, an hour and a half, but I got on the wrong train, so it ended up taking about 2 hours. So I spent a lot of time in the U-Bahn, which is not the most fun thing in the world. But yeah, that's been my week. It's been a bit crazy, but yeah, we're at the end of it now, and I only have 4 weeks left in Berlin, which is crazy. So I've been here for 8 and I've got 4 left. Turns out I'm only here for 12 weeks. I'd miscounted. But yes, I'm going to leave it here before this vlog gets really long. So I hope everything is good with you, and we will speak in a week's time. Bye.